Добрый день.
Good afternoon. My name is Alexander Zimin. I welcome you at the press briefing of one of the main speakers of the Moscow Urban Forum, Sergei Kuznetsov, Chief Architect of Moscow and the first Deputy Chairman of the Committee on Architecture and City Planning. Ask just one question right now, and if you have more, we have more time in the future. You will be able to ask your second question. Sergei, on the forum, it has been said that Moscow has to be a point of attraction, has to have more points of attraction like Skolkovo and other points. So, how to create territories in order for them to become points of attraction? Well, indeed, at this session dedicated to the periphery development, it has been said that an alternative point of attraction, alternative center, is not just an attractive location, but it's more than that. Well, several things. First, functional efficiency. So there should be a scenario why people not only should not leave this place, but be attracted as well. You see, in Moscow, it's very important. This center cannot actually compete with the downtown. That's true. Don't think we will create something similar to Kremlin or the Bolshoi. The answer would be here to find some new functions, some unique functions for the city, not competing with the main center, but adding new things to it. For instance, Kommunarka. It's not a historical center. Nobody plans to move public offices there, but we will have education and health facilities in this area. So this would be attracting people and will make it an important point of attraction. Then Skolkovo, another point, it's a university campus with startups, with innovations, quite unique inside the city. Point of attraction. Any part of the city should be. Then Rublovo-Arkhangelskaya, that's another part. International Financial Center, under the umbrella of Sberbank, is passing through international contests, and it's important for this area to be unique, to have a unique function, to make this area a point of attraction, a center in itself as well. I would say that, for instance, filling out industrial zones, brownfields, is a different thing. It's not the polycentricity, but the ability to go through these areas to make them multifunctional. And these are different things. I would say that centers should be multicentric. We should not segregate, of course, the city, and we've spoken about it in the last forum and right now too. There is no mic, I'm sorry. We've been speaking, the question was about what's polycentricity, what's polycentric, how to create points of attraction. Of course, not all points in the city should be and can be points of attraction. When we speak about the periphery development, it doesn't mean that the whole periphery will become a magnet in itself. I'm just saying that the environment is created the way that each district, each community, you can study the vertical allocation, you can study the administrative borders of the districts. So the thing is to create subcenters in each district to offer activities for people to spend most of their time there. For instance, in Birulova, what we've had there, instead of this vegetables market, which was quite a problem, we might substitute this market with kind of cultural activities or other kind of activities for people to spend their time in their districts. People in their heads, they have to understand that people where they live is not just a residential area where they sleep. It's an area where they are the owners. They are the people to have a full quality life. There is no universal answer. Yes, we have to improve how people spend their time around the house. That's parks, restaurants, shops, everything that could be included. That's in general terms, and specifically, we have to look at what we can do in each district. That's a different story. Well, Sergey, could you introduce Bakhvatova Elena Erbika about panel houses? Well, I've been exchanging opinions with the colleagues. Well, interesting theoretical conclusions, but little practical answers. What will happen with the 5-story buildings in Moscow? So a year ago, you could not answer because you were just appointed. Now you have 1 year at least of experience in this position. What's your answer on what's going to be done with those 5-story buildings not to be demolished? So if you speak about like all of the houses that are, say, obsolete, or we could call them old buildings, so we will develop strategies for renewing this territory, speaking specifically in areas where people are already living. Well, we have certain examples of projects at the exhibition on how to create this renovation, how to do this. Well, the project is almost finished, and thanks to this renovation, streets and surroundings looks different. So you mean that you preserve these old buildings? No, it just means that we redo this territory. We do not preserve these buildings. Well, we haven't made all the decisions on demolishing all these buildings, so I would not be able to answer specifically on each of these houses. This is not our part of the job, so to say, but of course we understand that renewing existing buildings is always much more complicated than building new ones. And in general, say, panel houses are the first houses to have, say, a shelf life in the history of architecture. So Khrushchev 5-story buildings had a 20-year shelf life, a 25-year shelf life. But the history of these buildings show that the say the possibility for the shelf life or the possible shelf life is much longer than the real one. And actually, a lot of the 5-story buildings have good quality right now. Yes, it's true that the environment, the planning of the district is not that good. Houses are not excellent, but they're in good quality, in good state. So when we speak about what do we do with them, first we need to, really think. First we have to really think what's the state. So if you say obsolete or old, we have to first evaluate how old. So you'll make specific decisions on specific buildings, right? Yes. So we first need to establish the criteria, right? The system for evaluation. Because if you say that we demolish all the 5 stories buildings, we can just demolish any building that has 5 stories. So what I'm saying is that on one hand, it's not, say, that bad. I would really tell you that our periphery is not as bad as it could be, actually, and we could be proud of it.
А можно в продолжение вопроса?
So you were speaking about 4 experimental mass construction districts in Medvedkovo, Izmailova, and 2 others. Could you speak in more detail about them? So you were saying that you were going to demolish and build some new buildings upon the investors' projects. I really don't know what are exactly the districts you're talking about. There is an exhibition on the Urban Forum about the Vazovskoye Street project. I would really say that all new projects like ZIL or other new projects like Tushina airfield, they have a totally new construction. But I can't really answer to specifically your question right now. I can say that many of the new things being done, they are planned in a very different way. There is some inertia. We've looked at the project for renovation. We see that the documents has been adopted quite a long time ago, and it takes quite a long to implement the documents. For instance, adopted in 2008. So this inertia, we'll feel it for a while, but I hope that in a year or 2 we will break this trend, and we'll see a new level of construction. Moscow was compared with different cities like London, Sao Paulo, Beijing, Istanbul. How do you think? Moscow is a European city, or it has a dispersed identity?
I believe that there is no doubt that Moscow is a European city. It's a very good question. As for mentality, I think Russian is more European rather than Asian. And the communication languages in a number of contacts with European countries. All of it is more intense. And city planning that was used to be applied in Russia and Moscow and other cities. Like if you take Odessa city, it's very similar to Barcelona, Samara, Voronezh, and other cities that have been planned starting from 17th and 18th century. They have inherited European traditions. On the other hand, speaking about the economy and the intensity of economy development, of course, we are closer to Asian megapolis. And from this point of view, these Asian examples are going to be much more applicable. There are because this economic part plays an important role in its development. On the other hand side, there are other big cities like Paris, and we compare Moscow and Paris. But there are some examples that are more relevant. We are comparing megapolises now, and like we have the example of Tokyo that used to have very similar projects in 80s, 70s, and 80s, similar problems to those that Moscow had. And the city was developing using similar tools that we are trying to use now. And if you take a look at the Tokyo map, it's very similar to Moscow. And scale-wise, it's also both the cities are over 2,000 square kilometers. And due to applying polycentric module due to transportation restructuring, it managed to resolve its issues. Beijing, Shanghai, megapolises. It's also very interesting that they have inherited the results of the Soviet city planning school, and even the architecture was similar. But there are changes nowadays, and the city plan is different. Transportation is also developing in its way. It's also a very good example. We had negotiations with the Institute of City Planning, and we agreed on supporting these ties. And there are similar problems that megapolises are resolving, similar to ours. Elena Smirnova from Moscow Times newspaper. Now we have What Moscow Wants exhibition. And I wanted to ask you, did you have the opportunity to have a look at the exhibition and what you want to support, which project? Well, I wanted to have a look at it, so that's what I was planning to do now. I haven't yet. I think it's a good city initiative to collect this data. We are talking a lot about feedback within the framework of this forum, and I believe that such projects help a lot to collect the feedback. I haven't been to this exhibition yet. I'll visit it later on. Sergey Olegovich, could you tell us what is happening to Zaryadye now, the future park, and is it going to be possible to have picnics there and to even to collect berries there? There is a certain mythology already to this Zaryadye Park. Well, as of now, there are preliminary works being carried out, and it is going to take quite a lot of time because Россия hotel hasn't been fully dismantled. And of course, we need there will be installed a temporary pavilion is going to be installed that is going to have the information on this project, and it's going to be a very interesting thing. We have taken the example of Venus Biennale 2012 to use this example to arrange this space. And this architectural biennale, our pavilion, our booth received the awards in this biennale. It was first time starting from the 1920s that we've managed to win this biennale competition, and we want to copy this booth in Zaryadye, and this booth or this pavilion is going to have the information on the project. As for implementation, well, we don't have this schedule approved yet, but we want to implement this project by the end of 2016. This project is exhibited in the Museum of Architecture, very close to here. I think this exposition is very interesting, and you can have a look. And you also need to understand that this is a concept to be further developed, and it is important that this is not the competition for selecting the best project, but it's also a place to have discussions. So we are going to have roundtables to ensure getting the feedback, to proceed with communications, and we are working with different initiative groups. Of course, we are not going to take every advice, but of course, we take into account the opinions. We are taking into account the risks and so on to adjust the project to the Moscow realia. Thank you. Could you tell us, Oleg Romanovsky from Голос России, what's the fate of the triangle? Minsko Street, Ramenki, Zolotые Ключи, Ramenki, and Kievska-Matveyevska railway station. This triangle. Now Ramenki are being intensively built up. And Kutuzovsky Prospect, additional street or double street was supposed to construct there. Well, yeah, we are going to have this double of the Kutuzovsky Prospect, but I cannot give you the details there. Thing is that we have a very nice green area there, but it's being eliminated in a very active way by this Ramenki construction. I think all these questions. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have the respective information as of now. The booth, where is it going to be installed in Zaryadye? And also the temporary structures like the suitcases and so on. Don't you think it's going to be good to change something in the legislation to avoid such scandals as we had? Well, the site the booth site is going to be near Vasilievsky Spusk. We are separating a site. We are selecting a special site that is not going to cause excessive uproar. Now we have a fence there, and we are going to remove part of the fence, and are going to get a pavilion. I don't think anybody is going to argue against it because this booth is going to be nicer than the fence. As for the suitcase on the square, I believe that it's not possible to come to an agreement in case of any question. And the other thing is how to get agreement of the majority of people. Well, I can't really say now what is the correct approach in this case. My opinion is that there wasn't anything completely horrible there, and take into account the upcoming New Year, I think it shouldn't have caused such an amount of indignation. But in any case, it was erected and removed without our knowledge and consent. Well, in this case, I'm quite tolerant because it's not permanent and it's not. And in many cities you can have this sort of examples, like Berlin. I worked a lot there, and this is a unique city. There are so many events going on, and like molecular person on Spree River, like this sculpture. Well, I think this inclusions into the city landscape are possible when they are temporary, when they are not permanent. Well, I believe. Well, I'll call for more curiosity from the people. I think that such initiatives shouldn't be really repressed. Zaryadye, do you plan to have a cinema museum there? And when the fence is going to be removed? Cinema museum is not planned to be located there. What can happen there is just what can be built there is the booth dedicated to the current events in Moscow. There is an interesting idea that we are going to discuss. It's the concept that won in the competition. It's various climatic zones representation. It's like representing different climatic zones of our country. And so there is such an idea of having an interactive pavilion there dedicated to the national parks. It's just an idea, but I think this idea can be very interesting. As for the cinema, we don't have this question as a matter of discussion. The fence, okay. Well, I think there will be the fence for the whole time of construction, because the construction sites are being fenced. And the pavilion is going to take one of the corners, and the fence is going to be simply moved. Well, unfortunately, it's not going to be possible to remove the fence completely while the construction is going on. So you have to deal with this. Evgeny Klimov from Вечерняя Москва. The second day of the forum is coming to a close. What are your impressions? First of all, the main impression of mine is that such big events are of utmost importance for cities, not only for Moscow. And I believe the more people visit such events, the more people will take part in the discussions, the better it is for the city, for the image of the city. And we are taking an active part in forum preparation as well, and we are not only participating in the forum. We are always having the debates with colleagues, and we are trying to insist on getting summaries as a result of the forum, so something that can be reread to track what were the suggestions and ideas. And we made quite practical conclusions as a result of the previous forum. And what was happening during this year, some of the events were the results of this forum, and I believe that there will be good outcomes of this forum as well. I see that there are a lot of important subjects that are being discussed. A lot of interesting people are coming. Well, I think as of now we can undoubtedly say without any doubts that the event itself and the quality of this event itself is quite good. And the fact of having this forum, well, it's just great, and I think that's got to be supported. And Moscow shouldn't be exception, because a lot of all the big cities have these events. So thank you, and I want you to invite to the event with Sergei Olegovich taking part. It's going to be a round table at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Moscow City. At 12, there will be a round table, City Museum. And then we have mechanisms of the tender practice that's arranged by Moscow Architecture. And it's better to check it on the website, naturally. Also, we have started the website soviet.moskva.ru that is going to contain all the information on tenders, on initiatives of Moscow Committee on Architecture. So thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.